For as long as I can remember, I've always loved the idea of having adventures in space. I grew up on Star Trek and Star Wars and playing a bunch of video games that were military sci-fi, and a lot of those stories are fate of the galaxy or fate of the universe or fate of the human race type stories. Now there's nothing inherently wrong with those kinds of stories, but I will say in recent years they've been a bit overdone. With Sons of Centauri, I wanted to create something that was epic, set in a universe that was bigger than their specific story, but also small enough in scale that one doesn't need to know everything about their universe at first glance. The biggest inspiration for Sons of Centauri was, oddly enough, EVE Online, a massive multiplayer online game that's essentially a sandbox where you can fight other players, trade resources, mine asteroids, participate in conflicts, even betray your own empire and destroy it from within if you wanted to. One of my friends pointed me to a few of the stories that came from several players' individual experiences in the game, and I was like, these stories would make for some amazing sci-fi. Sons was originally going to be developed as a visual novel like Highway Blossoms or Phoenix Wright, but a few years into developing it, I decided it might be better to make it into an animated feature, and right now we're working on a short film that'll hopefully pave the way to a much larger feature. Sons of Centauri takes place about 10 to 15,000 years into the future, and in a galaxy that's completely separate from the Milky Way, called Anima. Galactic civilization in Anima consists of 3 separate regions: the Anima Colonial Alliance, the Bottom Line, and Trader Space. I don't want to give away too much about how each of these separate areas of Anima work, but suffice to say, most of Sons of Centauri will take place in the area of Anima called the Bottom Line. Think of the Bottom Line as the outer wilds of Anima, where there are hundreds of micro-governments, mercenary groups, mega-corporations, and sovereign states, and each one has its own goals and merits. And the Sons of Centauri themselves are just one of those hundreds of tiny mercenary groups drifting from planet to planet, job to job, just trying to get by. While the Sons technically live life on the edge in the Bottom Line, they're not necessarily out to cause trouble. The Sons are like mercenaries with hearts of gold. They rarely take up jobs that are shifty or shady, and they don't try to involve themselves in unscrupulous activity or large-scale conflicts or battles unless they absolutely have to. At the time of the short film we're making, the Sons consist of only 3 members, and they're still sort of finding their footing and trying to get regular work as mercs. There's Destral, who's essentially the leader. He makes the decisions and has the final say in what jobs they pursue. There's Magnetar Johnny, who loves guns, explosions, and pranking the other members of the team and just prefers the explosive solution above all others. And lastly, there's Jaden010, who's essentially a human cyborg. He can think as fast as a computer, has a cybernetic eye with augmented vision, and despite having the most logical mindset of the team, some might argue that he's one of the most compassionate humans out there. So when is it coming out? That's a complicated question. We were hoping to release the short film right after completing it, but after some research and debating the pros and cons, we're going to be submitting the short to several film conventions so we can increase our chances of getting a full film funded. I will say that at this point, all voice acting for the short is completed and we're about 75% of the way finished with the animation. We also have a AAA sound designer working on the sound once the animation and editing is done. I'm also planning to score the film musically once it's ready. Some of you who have been following the channel may know this already, but if you don't, I'm actually a 2-time award-winning musician, and I probably brag about that a lot less than I should. I'm estimating that the animation should be finished by December of this year, and the full short film should be ready by the end of January or February 2026. Once the short is done, I'm planning to submit it to as many film festivals as I'm able to, while simultaneously starting work on the first 20 minutes of the planned full feature. One of the voice actors to be featured in the full film has already completed all of her voice acting, and while her character doesn't feature in the short, she'll be featured prominently in the first full movie as one of the protagonists. That's all I can say about our future plans for now, and I don't want to make too many plans without finishing our short film first, but suffice to say, if this short film succeeds the way we're hoping it will, it could open a lot of doors to the future. Not just for the future of the Sons of Centauri, but this channel as well. We hope to share more information on Sons of Centauri soon, but in the meantime, we hope you'll stick around and stay tuned as we continue developing it. And on behalf of our cast and crew, I want to give everyone watching a tremendous thank you for your support. We'll bring you more information on this project as soon as we have it. Until next time, I'm Burning Earth Chris, and remember, you have the power to set the world on fire. You have the power to make a difference. We'll see you next time.